I can't even begin to tell you how many branches I have cut with this little Ryobi chainsaw. It's been a fantastic machine and has literally cut thousands of branches and small trees and everything else. This has really been an amazing little unit. But this video isn't about this little guy. It's about this one. Right, guys? Of course. They know. So this, I finally broke down and got a new one. This saw here has definitely done its time. But I want to get something with a little bit more speed to it and a slightly larger bar. And like over the years, things like I lost the proper cap for this. So in order to oil with this now, you have to loosen this cap up. This is just like an old oil cap that I found on something else randomly. So got that going for me. And it's just basically, you know, the chain could use some sharpening and that kind of thing. Still runs okay, but it was just time. I needed something newer. This one's got the new bulb. It's got an oiler window, which you can see right there. And let me see if I can show you the blades. So, forgot to mention this one. The cover stays on there remarkably well. So as you can see, they're both pretty much identical as far as chain size goes. There's a 10, and this puppy here's a 10, although it's all worn off by now. And I will let you know how this thing goes. So far I've only cut one branch with it, but it cut very well. And I left it for those guys to chew on in there. But all they're doing is licking rocks. Some appreciation there, guys. So this little guy isn't going to get completely retired. I'm going to end up giving that and a charger and a battery to a friend of mine that doesn't have a chainsaw, and yet I know he needs one for doing little limbs and stuff around his yard, but he won't buy one. Steve, you know who you are. And these little guys up here, well, that's what my fleet's down to right now. I got my electric Remington, which works very well, and my Ryobi, and of course I've got my old chainsaw out in the garage. And there's my old chainsaw. My old chainsaw is an old Homelight from 1954. It used to have a much bigger bar on it, because my great-grandfather was a logger. I am not. I don't think I can pick that 30-pound beast up anymore, so that's probably going to stay there forever. So I'll use my Remington for anything that I would have used a big Homelight for, unless I get to a real tree. Then I'll have to obviously hire somebody in to do it, or maybe I'll just get the Homelight going. But for everything else that I do, which is 90% of my work, limbing and branches and even small trees, I'm going to use the crap out of that Ryobi. So I'll let you know how that goes. I know it went super well with this one. Okay, so just so I can show you what the difference is in RPM and sound and stuff, I'll fire this one real quick. Alright, and now we'll move to the old dog. As you can see, this one does have a quicker stop on it, which probably makes it safer for somebody who's not using one of these a lot. So there's that. Whereas this one carries on a little bit longer. I don't think that's really going to make a huge difference for me, but it is something to consider if you're prone to disaster. The smaller saw might be a good idea because that one stops really fast. This one doesn't. Like I said, for me, I don't really care because I'm not planning on touching the sharp end while it's in motion. But then again, I guess people seldom do. Hey, you didn't actually think I was going to hand it to him in that dirty condition, did you? So I ended up cleaning up all the passages and everything. I'm going to take and, for those of you that don't have one of these, you should probably get one. And there we go. That is now officially greased. Oh yeah, this is a grease gun for chainsaws, by the way, in case you've never seen one of these things before. You can get them in most of your chainsaw supply shops. And then what that's for is that little tiny hole that's into the end of the bars that greases this little spinny feller up at the very end, and that keeps it from seizing on you, which would be really bad. Alright, so after I got everything all oiled up and ran it for a little bit, I did a little bit of stump cutting with it. You see the chain's hanging down a little bit. So using the handy dandy tool that gets stored right in here, I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. Not take it off, just loosen it. I'll go a couple with it, just because once it starts feeling loose, and around front, take that, and then as I turn that to the right, tightens it up a little bit, and you want to have it so that you can pull it down and it'll snap back up. But you don't want it to pull down like really far. Like if I really force this, I can pull it past the teeth. You don't want that. So I want just so it snaps back up. Comes about 3/4 of the way down the tooth, and that's it. And that's it. I'm done messing with this. I'm going to tighten it back up again. Wowzers. It's tough to do with one hand. I'll bring it to the edge. And just tight enough to keep it on there. Check it again. And we're good. So I cleaned up the bar and oiled up the chain. Filled up the oiler, but I had to drain that back out because otherwise when that's sitting in the box, it will drain. So when you go to run this thing, you just have to loosen that cap up a little bit just so it can breathe. Otherwise it holds most of the oil in there. That's the only downside on this whole saw. Oh yeah, I also put the safety tip back on. If you find the safety tip annoying, Steve, one bolt comes right off. That's it. Enjoy, man.